You know, there are times in life where suddenly we get very demotivated, we feel really tired, and almost everything doesn't seem to go as well as it did before. You know, a period of time where you used to be doing well, but then suddenly you've lost the drive, you've lost the motivation, you lost the zest or the mojo, and you want to know how to get out of this mental rut, or get out of this, what we call in metaphysics, a downward spiral. Now, before we talk about the 4 ways to get out of a rut, please click on the subscribe button and hit the bell icon to get notification for all videos that we release here on this channel. Thank you so much. And if you are new to this channel, please remember to introduce yourself in the comment section below. And if you're already an existing member of this channel, do tell us, how you have been using the information to help yourselves and how you have transformed your life. Now, we have experienced this many times, throughout our lives before. There are periods of time where we will feel we just lost our motivation, lost our drive. We used to be really, really good. We used to be really creative. We could do so many things, and suddenly all blank. As a creator myself, I write books and I teach classes. There are points in my career that it's just so difficult to write another page. It's just so difficult to get started again. And suddenly I lose the drive. And many people have asked me, how do I get out of this rut? Well, there are periods of time where you probably will feel a little bit lost, okay? I think almost all human beings at some point in time, you probably reach to a point where you feel a little bit empty. So the question is, it's not the downward spiral that is causing you, right? When things don't work out and problems, and never-ending events and problems seem to be bothering you now. It's not a question of being in the water that kills you. If you stay in the water for too long without breathing, that drowns you, right? So likewise, you need to be able to get out of it. So there are ways in metaphysics to help you, snap out of it, right? Now, I know it's not easy just to slap yourself out of it. But, first of all, we need to find out, what are the progressive ways that we could help ourselves, okay? Instead of just waiting for when luck will change for the better, well, there are some things you can do proactively to help yourself. Now, firstly, how do we arrive in a period of time in our astrology chart or a metaphysics chart that we know that we might be feeling a bit down, or that we might be in a downward spiral or demotivated? Well, generally, it's a period of DE. DE means death and emptiness. It doesn't mean death. It means a period of void, okay? In most astrology charts, there's a period of void, okay? Whether you are doing Western or Chinese astrology, it's called DE, okay? Death and emptiness. Basically, we call it void or emptiness period. And if you're in that period, sometimes you just feel like it's not that you're not successful. It's not that you're not doing well. It's just you don't feel motivated and you lost the mojo, right? Or sometimes it could be worse. Sometimes you really feel demotivated because one bad thing after another keeps happening to you, right? And you don't really know what is happening. You don't really feel like doing anything, okay? So how do we get out of this situation, right? How do we get out of this situation? Well, if we talk about the metaphysics perspective, if you're a student of metaphysics, then what we're looking for is a Funyun formation, because we need to basically overturn a downward spiral. If we overturn it 180 degrees, we need what we call a Funyun. A Funyun is called reverse chart. In Bazi, we might be looking for a clash. In Feng Shui, we look for Funyun as well. So if you're not familiar with metaphysics, that's fine. We can physically or through willpower or willfully do the following, okay? So there are 4 ways to get out of a rut using metaphysics, or maybe just using your willpower, okay? The first is understand your strengths once again. You need to revisit your strengths. Now, if you're a student of metaphysics, then of course, this just requires you to restudy your chart. Now, even though I have seen my chart for 20 plus years at the time of filming this video, but I still look at it. Why? Because sometimes when you're demotivated and you lost the drive, all you have to do is remind yourself what you're good at, what you're strong at, okay? And if you don't know how to read chart, it's fine. Acknowledge your own skills once again, because there are many things in our lives that we are good at. There are also things that we're not so good at, but being able to recognize that, to recognize our strengths once again, we feel the power back, okay? We feel that we are in control once again. This is the thing, because when we lose zest of something, is when we no longer feel that we have that energy. We no longer recognize our own identity, our own self once again. What's our value? What's our strength? What do we have to offer? So reminding ourselves of this is the first step. That's step one. So you could do that with an astrology chart, or you can just do that by thinking about what are your strengths once again. Okay, recognize what are your own abilities. This is important. You got to acknowledge your own abilities. Number two, which is very important, is to look for recognition in the past. Now, in the past, you had some success, right? What were the past wins? If you understand this from an astrology chart or from an astrology perspective, you can recognize what we call the peak periods in our life. How did that feel to you? Because that feeling is the most important. When people are cheering you, when people recognize your ability, when people are applauding, your work, they enjoy your work. So for us who are who speak on stage, right? A lot of our energy, you listen to a lot of speakers, right? They'll tell you this, that they get their energies from, the crowd when they're cheering, when they're applauding them, when they enjoy their talk, when they enjoy their work. A lot of artists get their energy from their audience, from their fans who are cheering. So that sort of wins is important, because one is recognize what you have and then match it with what other people are acknowledging. Because sometimes what we think is good is not what other people think is good. People don't acknowledge that. So that in an internal win is one thing, right? An internal win that's recognized by the outside forces or outside people, that gives us what we call a brand, right? Or a reputation or goodwill. So we like that, right? If other people think we're good, but we don't think it's good because it doesn't match with our strength, we won't feel motivated. We won't feel inspired, okay? Because sometimes you do see, right? People write to you and say to you, hey, you did really well, but you sort of didn't feel it was sincere, or didn't feel that it was good, or it was real. That is because it didn't match your own internal compass or your own value of who you are. So if you have something great and it is acknowledged by the external, that part gives you the synergy. So you need to go and remember back or recall back the past. Now, if you know astrology, you can look back at what we call the luck cycles. There's definitely some luck cycles or some periods of time you've been through that period of time. And it will be easy if you recognize the 10 stars in there, and then you could recognize what the attributes of the stars that will remind you of that past feeling during that time. Okay, so that's how you use parts of astrology in a more constructive way, rather than saying a person go through bad luck and good luck. Come on, how is that constructive to somebody? But if you can just recall back your wins, right? You could just recall back the feeling of your wins that is acknowledged by people. That's when your energy comes back. That's step number 2. And step number 3, this is very, very important. Step number 3 is small activity. Now, it is important that we actually take smaller actions. Now, you may say, yeah, but I am not motivated. How can I take action? But there's a lot of action that we take in our lives that don't need motivation, don't you think so? Do you need to be motivated to have lunch and dinner, right? I mean, you still eat, right? You still do a lot of things. You drive to work. There's some activities that you can still do. It doesn't have to be a big activity. That's why in metaphysics, we talk about activation days, right? We look at our Tongshu calendar, our almanac, and we choose certain time to do a certain activity. It doesn't even have to be a big activity, but once you get started on an activity, you sort of get the ball rolling, right? You get into momentum, you get to doing something. And because you're in motion, it creates an emotion, right? And then start to feel good about yourselves again, and then you start doing something. You don't really need to get inspiration all the time in order to get motivated, and then you would take action. These things are independent, as you know, okay? They're independent. If you look at heaven, earth, man, and spirit in terms of the 4 realms in metaphysics, you see that in a Bazi chart, you see that in a Qi chart, even a Feng Shui chart, right? These 4 realms, they work as unison, but they also can be independently accessed, okay? So you might get intuitively an inspiration, then an idea came, and then your thoughts become affected, and then you get motivated through the feelings, and then by activity, you take an action. But each 4 realms is independent. So if you just do something, even without thinking, you don't let how your feelings come in between how you do something, that means you basically tell your feelings like, I don't care how you feel, I'm just going to do something anyway. If you do it, then over time, you get back into a state where you are creating that, that momentum for yourself. So that's step number 3. And step number 4, this is quite important. I know probably you might say, I don't deserve it, but it's called rewarding yourself. Now, you gotta also acknowledge that you are taking an effort to do something. A lot of times we downplay our own effort. we don't even be kind to ourselves, and that's why we don't do everything for ourselves. Sometimes human beings can be kind to others, we can even be compassionate to other people, but we forgot that the person that you need to be kind to is yourself. So reward yourself with kindness and compassion. Therefore, you will be more willing to actually take action, because if you don't reward yourself, you're not compassionate to your own self, then how should your own self do something for you? So these are the 4 steps that is important for us to take, and all you have to do is repeat these 4 steps, and over time, even in fact a very short time, you're going to get out of that rut, and you will get out of that downward spiral, and you will move back into at least the point of equilibrium, and then possibly into the realm of good fortune and upward spiral once again. So whether you're using metaphysics or not, hopefully you will do, because metaphysics helps us improve our lives. Or even if you do that just through sheer, willpower and determination, discipline, either way, right? Do these 4 things, and I'm pretty sure it will help you in some ways to get out of that rut that you're in right now, possibly, or maybe even get out of that demotivated state and get back the zest of your life again. I hope you enjoyed this video today. Please leave me a comment on how you get out of the downward spiral. How do you get unstuck in your own life? Maybe your experience can also help some other people, light up the candle in other people's lives. And also, if you're new, remember to introduce yourself so that me and my team get to know you. And please share this video, give this video a thumbs up. It means a lot to us. And if you're not already done so, please subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon for notifications for future videos just like this. Thank you so much for watching today.